Welcome in to the Cam and Strick Podcast.
Yeah.
Episode number 11. And we've got a Hall of Famer for this one, Cam.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my
Who,
gosh.
me?
That's all you had to say.
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
Amateur Hockey Hall of Fame.
No, not you.
Oh, Martin Brodeur, the real Hockey Hall of Famer.
Nice one.
I'm funny.
If you could ask Martin Brodeur anything. I know you have your notes. You've been studying. I mean, I don't even know what you write down.
I don't know either.
Put your notes away.
Dude, I have to do my due diligence, no matter who it is.
Do you write out questions?
Yes.
You play with the guy. Why do you have to take notes?
I don't know, but I did. And I didn't even use them.
Are you like a fan today interviewing
Yeah,
Martin
man.
Brodeur,
No, I had good times. Man,
like
he treated me great.
teammate?
No, wait, I'm just saying. He treated me great, man. And I told you, I force the issue. I don't hang out with rookies. Even when I'm a rookie, I say, no, Cam, don't hang out with the rookies. They don't know a damn thing. Hang out with the older guys because they know how to have fun. And that's exactly what I did. And he embraced me with open arms.
Did he ever get mad as a teammate? Did he ever address the team or just get in the face of a teammate?
Not really, but you didn't have to. We had all kinds of older guys on the team to be able to do that as well. But if you wanted to speak up, everybody's listening, no matter what. We had the right guys in order to be able to speak up at the right times. But he was very, very quiet, and he'd drink a Sprite. And the guys, when I first got in, he goes, Cam, they always say Cam, because I talk to everybody.
Yeah.
And they go, Cam, don't talk to him during the game.
Really?
And I'm like, okay. And I
During
never
the
did.
game?
During the game.
Why would you do
No,
that?
I mean during the intermission when he puts a towel over his head and he drinks his Sprite.
Really?
And that's it.
When you're playing with a legend like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's no different than playing with, in reality, I mean, Michael Jordan or Tom Brady or one of those guys. I mean, he was Martin Brodeur is to goaltending what Tom Brady is to the quarterback
100%.
position.
Yeah,
Okay?
no doubt.
Do you put yourself in the moment? Do you say, wow, I'm playing with one of the greatest ever?
When
Or
I first got there,
do you
yeah.
just look at him as one of your teammates just like everybody else?
I did. I was starstruck for a while, and then I started hanging out with him all the time. And then I was like, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to order my Bloody Marys, and he'll make fun of me because I want salted rim and I want blue cheese stuffed olives. And then when I ordered a salad, I wanted carrots, not chopped.
Yeah.
No, or not sliced. I want them chopped. And I'd always say that, and he'd give me shit. But then you get used to it. And, he was just another guy, man.
All right, so now he's working on the business side with the Devils. We get into a lot of different things, including his time here with St. Louis. We get his take on Jordan Binnington. So a lot of different areas that we cover with the GOAT. Can we call him the GOAT?
We'll call him the GOAT, man. We'll call him the GOAT.
One of the best ever. As always, this show and this episode, this podcast, the Cam and Strick Podcast, brought to you by Cope24, Cope24.com. We'll tell you about that in the close. Enjoy this with the greatest ever. We go from Daniel Carcillo to Martin Brodeur.
Same difference, right?
Yeah.
Same difference.
Yeah. And Cam brought his notes, too. It's amazing. Like, he couldn't read or write when this podcast started.
Still can't.
A few weeks ago. And now, look how far you've come in just a short period of time.
Marty, can you read these notes for me so I can start this off, please? Thank you. Marty, thanks for showing up, man. Thanks for being a part of this.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
Right on, buddy. Want me to start with the first question? You want to do it?
Well, go to your notes. What do you have for your first one?
It says something about... I can't read it. Okay. What are you doing now, bud? So you're in town. What's your schedule like these days? What are you doing in Jersey?
Pretty open if he's coming to hang out with us.
I know. I'm like,
Exactly.
thank God.
On a Tuesday.
Tell us what you got going on now, bud.
Well, when I left the Blues, I took a position in the business development. So I'm vice president of business development for the New Jersey Devils. So obviously, I'm not doing any hockey operation stuff. So if you ask me, like, what's going on with the Devils, I know
What's going on with the
Devils?
We're not doing
How's
too
Jack
well.
Hughes? How about PK Subban?
Yeah.
It's cold down there, minus 25. Go ahead.
It's kind of a little learning curve for me. It's learning the business of hockey. I think was fortunate to work under Doug Armstrong for 3.5 years. Learned a lot in the position that I was in with Al McInnes and Dave Taylor and Kevin McDonald and a bunch of other guys. And it was at a blast. It was just I was getting a bit demanding, so I figured I was gonna kind of reach out to New Jersey and see if they had something for me to kind of learn a different aspect of the game. And I've been doing that for about 1.5 years. It's been going well, but it's definitely a big learning curve. New Jersey is a big it's a big market. Our ownership is diverse with having an NBA team, a Premier League soccer team, plus the hockey team, plus the Prudential Center. So there's a lot of stuff to learn and a lot of different things.
It's an important person.
So so that's why I decided to go only there 3 days a week because it was too much.
Well, speaking of demanding, like what was demanding about that whole gig with Army and the Blues?
Well, it's the travel. I think when you're in a hockey operation, like people don't understand, but hockey's played on the weekends. So everywhere you go, if you want to go scout or look at your prospect in college, games are on the weekend. If you want to go to junior, and obviously from St. Louis, not the easiest place to travel around the United States, especially if you need to go into Canada. There's only one place you could go. It's to Toronto. You can't go to Montreal. You can't go to Calgary or Vancouver. You got to make some stops. And when you're at the winter time, there's a lot of delays, a lot of stuff. The minor league teams, the same thing. We had the Chicago Wolves that were playing 3 games, in 3 nights over the weekends. Plus the big team that you had to take care of. And at the time, I had a 7, 8, 9-year-old at home that grew, for these 3 years, and so I missed a lot. And I was like, all right, I didn't retire not to enjoy my kids. I didn't have a chance to enjoy much of my other kids because I was active when they were growing up. So I just wanted to have a better opportunity to kind of have fun with Max. And like this weekend, I'm going to Peoria, an outdoor rink for a youth hockey tournament. That's something. This one it's not that good, but
cool. Peoria.
Yeah, exactly. It's not that good example.
3 games in 3 nights, you get like 3 games in 1 day. Right?
Exactly.
All right, so let's get St. Louis out of the way. Working in hockey operations, did you enjoy it? Did you like it? And what kind of perspective do you have for the game now versus what you had as a player?
Oh, I loved it. It was great. It was a great way to kind of ease into my retirement. Like just being part of a hockey team. You still got the adrenaline going. You start caring about the kids. Like you go in, you scout. There's a draft. We get 7 or 8 players come into our organization. You start following them. The following years is another 6. Next thing you know, you get like 20 guys that you kind of know really well, and they're next thing you know, one guy's getting his first game in the NHL. So there's a lot of proudness about doing that job. And obviously, like you work into the goal of winning a Stanley Cup. I left just before, but it was pretty cool for me to see some of the young guys, even the older guys that had a hard time, getting over that hump, that they finally all did together. And with Chief, we hired him when I was a part, of the Blues. When we hired him in Chicago, we decided to bring him in as an associate coach in St. Louis, and now taking over. So it's a lot of fun. And I know Doug and all the guys on the hockey operations side worked really, really hard to put this team together. So it was kind of a fun Stanley Cup run.
Well, it worked. But how did that go down? Who called you and said, well, and laid this out for you from the Blues and said, we want to get you over here. We're going to give you some playing time, and we're also going to set you up for a different career. How did that all go down?
Did you know that when you came here as a player,
no,
that there would be an opportunity for you as?
Oh, really?
No, not at all. So the way it worked, I decided not to go back to New Jersey. Lou kind of offered me to go back, and didn't like the situation. I just decided, I said, you know what, I'd rather retire than going back for that one little stint. I was gonna, maybe a year I had left at the most. Anyway, I was like 42 or whatever at that age I was. So I decided to go to free agency. Never really done that before, and nothing happened. It was like, obviously I was an older goalie, and I just sat there and kept working out. Actually, I was skating with Scotty Gomez because
that must have been a tough skate.
It was fun.
He ended up here too.
Yeah, exactly.
He doesn't have any opinions.
He skated with Scotty Gomez.
So we were skating like in November, and I was just hanging out. And Max was little; he was probably 4 years old at the time, and went to skate. Next thing you know, my agent called. He goes, "Yeah, Doug Armstrong and Al McInnes, they would like to talk to you around noon." I'm like, "Sure, I'll entertain it." And I think a week before, I had a call from Bob Murray in Anaheim, and they signed Brizgalov.
Okay.
So it was kind of between me and Briz, I guess, at that time. But I went in to St. Louis. He said, just come in for a few days, see if you're still in good shape or you're good enough. Like, we need a goalie for a few months because Brian Elliott was hurt. And I was sure. And that was it. There was no understanding about anything else. And Doug, I knew Doug from Hockey Canada.
Yeah.
I knew Al. I played with Al for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And for the 2 months I was there, we got along real well. And Al's got healthy, and next thing you know, I was the third goalie, and was kind of, I didn't feel like sitting on the bench or being in the stands. I know
how it
there's
is.
other guys that did that for a long time. Oh, sorry, Jack.
Cam.
I just didn't.
No offense taken.
I just didn't feel like doing it anymore, and so we kind of had a good conversation in how we're gonna exit this contract and everything. And he offered me, he goes, if you want to spend the rest of the year and kind of sit back and learn, it'll be great. And I did that. We lost in the first round to Minnesota that year.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
And
was that when you were goalie coach?
no, that was after.
We'll get
We
into
beat
that.
Minnesota.
that
Was
happened. That was like a 2-week
yeah.
thing. That was a 2-week
I'll
ordeal.
never forget his first day, just walking onto the ice in his tracksuit. He looked miserable. Like I couldn't
Everything
tell.
for the team, eh, Cam?
Anything for the team.
Anything for the team.
It just even seeing you, I mean, it was so bizarre. And of course, we played together a long time, but seeing you with the Blues gear on, everybody's like, "Oh my!" It looked fake to me. It looked fake, and it just was. It was very surreal at the time. But I'm glad it all worked
very
out.
Cool though.
Very cool. Like, are you kidding me? If I was Tom, I'm like, he's available. Yeah, we're gonna get you in a couple games, and we're gonna keep you around and pick that big brainy or so. I'm glad that all went down, Marty. That's a good thing.
Yeah, it was great. Like I said, there's no regret on my part of coming here and obviously learning, the after career a little bit through Doug's eyes here. It was great.
And you played your entire career with one organization, so I mean, at least getting a taste for another organization as a player.
Yeah.
Weren't you ever wonder what it was like to play for a different team too?
I did for a little bit. I was lucky. I was able to play for Team Canada a lot, so
Yeah.
that was my other team.
There you go.
So once in every 4
They're
years, I
not
would
all
go.
that good, just so you know.
Yeah, no, we struggled a little bit, But I've played in a lot of different events, and so that was me getting out of my bubble and having a different experience. And being in New Jersey, loved it, loved everything about it. And there was, like I said, it was no regrets because we have an opportunity when you're older, and it's not going to define my career. It was great. And it's funny when you look at stuff. I have my son, when he was playing in New Jersey, played for the Montclair Blues. We have pictures of him. He's like 9 years old with a Blues jersey on, and I'm like, I'm going to play for the Blues now. Like, what are the odds of that? Like, it's something pretty cool.
Do you think? And obviously, I was drafted with the Devils too, and coming up in the early '90s like that, Marty, and having Lou as a GM, I mean, for me, of course, it's a different story. I mean, that helped me so much. But what was it like playing for that man for all those years? And you asked the same question. Would you ever wonder about playing for another team? Well, it's different playing with the Devils under Lou. Like, Lou was tight-knit, man. He knew everything was going on, and he kept everything. He had to shave. You had to do this. You had to do that. So did that ever... So to your question, I'm sure you did think of how it was with other teams, but you also got to think, like, gosh, having him, with the helm... He's running the show, and is always a good thing after that.
Yeah, I like for me, I've obviously I have a lot of respect. I've me and him went through my whole life together. I mean, from
father figure.
Yeah, just he's been great. But I think when you go out through your career and you start the way I started, my rookie year we go in and lose Game 7 in the conference final. We go my second year, I win the Stanley Cup with him. And you see him every single year try to make the team better. Like, there was no salary cap back then. He wanted, if it was a trade to be made, it was a coach to fire for him to get on the bench, so it gives us a better chance. Like,
didn't matter if you won the previous year or not.
It's just the attitude about winning. That when you you took the shaving, the cutting your hair, the curfews, the tie everywhere. Like, I mean, we practice in the middle of nowhere in West Orange, and we had to jump on the bus to drive 2 hours to Philadelphia. But the walk from the rink to the bus, you had to have your tie on, like, to the neck, not the button open.
Like, is he checking?
Are you kidding me?
How does that work?
He sits in the bus, and he's the first seat, and he's like, there's no way
if your
around.
tie's not up, he says, "Hey, put your tie on."
Yeah,
Andy.
It's just the way it was.
Stares into your soul when you walk on that bus.
So to anybody,
Not to everybody.
Anybody
I was going to hit you in your shoulder again.
Anybody ever think that they can get around it? That they were above it? They come.
Yeah, and they got traded 2 weeks later.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one thing, and the funniest part for us was, and it became, and that's probably why everybody got so close. Is like, we made trades, and guys came in from the Western Conference. But Western Conference, you know what? People wear jeans on the road. They don't wear the jacket to go for like team lunch or team dinners and stuff like that. We do all that. And so it was my job to make sure that the guy that got traded, dude, I know this is the way it goes. Yeah. This is the way.
Really?
So if you need to go grab a water at 9:30 at night, make sure you get dressed. Don't go there in your sweats.
Andy.
And it's just
serious.
Hold on.
So these are things that it's just a way of life that made us a team.
And
we just bought into it.
Exactly.
Twice about
Not
it, right?
twice about it. I was amazed to see other teams like that. And again, just to put it in perspective, I owned a senior men's league team in Quebec. And so I was playing
The Quebec senior.
Yeah. So
Oh boy, is
Yeah.
Brashear on that team right now?
Cam's going to ask you if Cam's. By the way, I've said this several times. He's the only player in NHL history that is way better after his career than he was
Marty,
during.
I'm
his career.
unbelievable right now. Ask Jeremy.
So he may want to come. He may want to come play for your.
Dude, I'm done
for your
fighting,
senior
man.
men's
Don't
league
even
team.
say that.
You know who's playing there?
Who?
One of the guys that you had one of your best fights in
LeBlanc.
LeBlanc.
I
played
just
in
saw
league.
that.
Yeah.
And Steve McIntyre came
Yeah.
back too.
Really?
So
they
I-
still fight in that league all
But
the time.
LeBlanc just had a
Oh,
fight
yeah.
on Facebook. I saw
But
it.
just to tell you, like, I was sitting there. We're Friday night. The ownership group goes, Marty, like, maybe you should show up once, to one of the games. I'm like, all right, no problem. So I come in, show up. I sit there. It's 5:00, and I'm watching all the players walking in, and these guys are all like in jeans and I mean, there's senior men's league. I guess it's normal. But in my head, I'm like, how come these
How
guys
dare
are...
you?
Yeah, exactly.
How dare
The
you?
guy, well, this guy he's a plumber. This guy is a... I'm like, oh, God, that makes sense now.
That
But
you
that-
own
but
a
that's
team
just
in
the
that
attitude,
league?
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Is it? Is it? How do you even scout for that team? Like, are you like, okay, I'm getting the biggest shit kickers I could find, and we're gonna all put them together? I mean, is there scoring in that league? Do you even like try to find a power play unit?
You have to. So the way it works is...
I could work on the power play unit, by the way.
The way it works is pretty easy. It's like you pay your guys that's going to bring in the most fans. And so in that league, it's your fighters. And after that, you get local guys that are good hockey players to play for your team, and you pay them next to nothing.
What does the most guy make?
Yeah, guys, I mean, probably you could make on the weekend probably $1,000.
Really?
Yeah.
So the way...
No practice during the week.
maybe one, but it's optional.
Okay.
Yeah, like if guys makes it good.
That sounds amazing.
One or two or something like that. I don't... Like I said, I owned it for like 2 or 3 years. And
Did you make money off it?
when we did the playoffs, we did well.
Okay.
So the games were
Breaks even a little
Friday night and Sunday afternoons. So big drinking days. So that's just the way. I mean, the first period is about 2 hours, and after that,
Yeah, everybody's done
you get everything out of the way, and
Oh,
like
God.
guys like they gotta go and drop the mitts at least twice a game. If not,
Wow.
they might have
packed houses.
most of these places. They're small
Crazy.
towns in Quebec.
Yeah, I've heard about that for years about senior
Look it
men's
up,
hockey.
man.
Oh yeah, no, I have. How often do you talk to Lou?
I would say probably once every 2 months now, at
Okay.
least.
Yeah, I did that Spit and Chicklets interview. And I don't know if you remember that you weren't on a team then, but I was in the minors and they stole my phone. And they changed it with Lou's, and I called Lou and I didn't know it was him, and I was like, fucking embarrassing.
Yeah,
But then I
remember.
reenacted what Lou said, and I kind of threw some curse words in there, and he got mad at me, and I don't blame him for that because he didn't cuss at me at the time, but he calls me. I remember Pete Albeats calls me. He goes, Lou needs to talk to you. I'm like, my heart sunk. Because it's the last person I want to piss off by, and I'm like, okay. I remember taking like vodka and be like, I gotta call him right now. It's 6 a.m. And I'm like, oh boy. So I call Lou and he's just like, I didn't say. I'm like, I'm so sorry about that. But that's just how it is with him. Like he was just such a big part of my life growing up, and same with you. And you don't want to piss the guy off because he's done so much for us, man.
He's the only guy that, like, for me, not being a player and whatever, that would intimidate me. Like when he'd walk around,
Besides
like
Babcock.
when you go to talk, he wouldn't intimidate. But when you walk around, and he would kind of intimidate you, But then you get to know him, and he's done my radio show several times. He called me right back when the Blues signed you, and I've talked to him at the rink a couple of times. He's actually one of the nicest people that I've ever met in hockey.
Kind.
At the same time,
He's kind.
Like, is that an accurate read or no?
Yeah, he's like I said to me, there's not one thing happens in my family that he's not part of it or doesn't give me a phone call.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunate few years back, lost my mom, my dad, my brother. He was at all three, services for me, like regardless if it's getting Anthony in the books with New Jersey, getting drafted, in the 7th round, like
You made the announcement.
yeah, exactly. Like,
Awesome.
But all that stuff, like he's kind. And again, if anything, I remember always we had to tell him, it's like, enough of sending flowers to our wives. Like, we look bad right now. Like, he doesn't miss a beat on everything.
Anything.
Like, it's like Valentine's Day. I'm like, his flowers come before mine. I'm
Just
like,
change the name. That's what I did.
So what impact did he have on you that you brought to St. Louis? Anything?
There's a lot of different little things. I think more discipline. I think a lot of being accountable to each other. Building a team. There's a lot of different things that he brought up, and it's not one little things. I think it's just a matter of buying into something. Like, it could be anything.
Yeah.
He has that one little thing that he's gonna be crazy about, and you know what? You cannot. If you don't agree with it, you're done. It's just one way or the other. I'm sure he's changed with the times.
Grandpa Lou now.
I came in like, well, he's obviously.
Yeah, but I talked to the Toronto guys like last week when they were here, and they told me stuff that he did that they thought was absolutely crazy when he was in Toronto. That they thought, okay, now Lou's gone, things are gonna go back the way that they were, and the current regime just kept it the way that it was because he changed it. How many managers and especially even Doug here in town would pick your brain about stuff that Lou would do, just to kind of get an idea for what made them successful.
I heard that line. What would Lou do?
I
heard it a few times.
Yeah. If you wouldn't imagine what he's getting asked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's one of those things. Is like, everybody has respect for the man. He's been doing it. Just think about where he's at in his career and what he's accomplished in the last 5 years or 3 years with Toronto, and now 2 years or whatever in Long Island. He surrounds himself, like, he makes sure that when he's got a job, he wants to be able to have the green light to be able to do whatever he wants. I mean, for the Islanders to go out and did the cleanup that they did and hired the people that they did, how much that costed the owners, I don't know the price. But some of the contracts that were there with Dougie Waite and Gart Snow,
and
hired,
they got a head coach who just won a cup who hired a lot of money.
Exactly, and he's the type of guy. So listen, if you want your franchise, I'll be able to do it. He went to Toronto. I remember the day that my jersey got retired. Everybody was waiting for Lou to come in, and he kept on being late, and so he came in and he apologized. He goes, "I'm so sorry." He goes, "I got this deal with I was on the plane and I was finishing up this deal." He made an 11 player deal in Ottawa that day, so he had to make sure he closed down before he was able to fly out. And so he goes, "I'm so sorry, I'm late for your retirement thing." I'm like, I couldn't care less, but I appreciate it. But that's just the type of man he is. Like, he'll do everything that he thinks is going to be the best for he doesn't care about him. He cares about what he puts out there in front of him, the coaches, the people that he's helped after hockey. I mean, you'll never know them. I know a few of them, and it's like, to his credit that he's able to provide the help that he's doing to certain people.
Put it this way, Andy, and we'll veer off of this in a little bit, but I remember after every single game, walking on the bus, Marty, you know this too, and you didn't care. You went on the bus, you sat in the very back. I would try to sneak in the very back to hang out with you guys, and either you give me the green light or you give me the red light. It is what it is. But the one thing I did know when I walked on that bus, and I walked past Lou, who was always the first one on there, either he gave me the look and he smacked me on my back in a good job way, or he'd look at me and then look down, and I'm like, oh dear God. Oh, like that. Those two things. Either you're like, good job, or not. And that's when you either knew one way or the other if he had a good game and he was happy, or if he didn't, just because of that. Very bizarre, but it was so true. I mean, he smacked Marty in the back every time.
Did he ever
put it that way?
Did he ever not tell you good job there, Marty?
Once in a while.
Marty was in a different category. Okay, can we establish that?
But it's still, it means a lot when you're boss, and and he goes out, he makes a point and goes out of his way to tell you something. He doesn't need to do that, but he felt at times, regardless. Sometimes I had some bad days, and it was an important part, and he just wanted to make sure I didn't collapse, and he made sure I was always taken care of, make sure that I was staying positive, and as hard as he was at times, or he perceived, like, if you're on his good side, he was the best advocate you could ever have.
Exactly.
So, okay, you go from being a player, and then you're right in the thick of things, and you talk about still the adrenaline rush you get from big games, and you're working on the hockey side, and now you're on the business side. How much do you miss not being in the thick of things on the hockey side, and do you see yourself getting back to being a hockey guy and not being on the business side?
I would say the first year I didn't miss it whatsoever. This year it's been a little harder.
Really?
It's been a bit harder just because now you start caring, start knowing people that are in charge and doing all that stuff, and you want them to be successful. I went to the draft. We picked, Jack Hughes' #1 pick and made a trade for PK Subban and did a lot of stuff. And now things are not going well. I got friendly with the coach. Now the coach had to get let go. Yeah. And so even though I'm not part of it, I'm kind of close enough, I love Ray Shiro. I think Tom Fitzgerald's doing a great job, and it's a good bunch of guys, and they finally were able to get the green light to put a team together, and it hasn't worked yet. I think
they pick your brain still with stuff.
Yeah, they do a little bit when I'm around, but by saying that, I start to miss it a little bit more because you'd like kind of be involved a little bit more. But the drawback is I go back to St. Louis and don't have to. Be in a bad mood.
Let me ask you this, and I've always been curious on this too, and sometimes I go on YouTube and watch 95 playoffs with
Let's be honest. Cam watches YouTube every single. He watches every single one of his fights.
Not anymore.
Every day.
I do watch my fights before I go to bed. It puts me to sleep.
You watch your highlights, Marty, before you go to bed?
Not really.
But which team, 95, 2000, 2003, or 2012, if you want to count that too, which team was the biggest powerhouse and why? That's a great question by me, by the way.
Yeah, it's not bad. So the 94 one was kind of a tough one, but we've learned, and we had a really good team. But that sets up 95.
Yeah. Lockout year, by the way.
Lockout year sets up 95. I thought we had a great team, but it was continuity from the 94 year. And 2000, we had a really good team. We had 5 rookies that got injected in our lineup.
Gomer and all them.
Gomer, Whitey, Pandolfo, Rafalski. It was kind of pretty cool. And we went into 2001 and we lost Game 7 to Colorado.
Ray Bork.
I thought that was a pretty good team too. And you turn around, we make a little switch, and 03, now we inject a few veterans in there, make a couple moves, get Joe Nieuwendyk, Jimmy Langenbrenner, and you get a bunch of other guys that came in late, that Richard Schmelik and Pascal Réaume.
But they find a way.
Yeah, exactly. And they just brought some depth. So if you really ask me, just because of the 2 years consecutively that I would say 2000, 2001, that era there, we were pretty good, pretty dominant. If you figure 2000, 2001, 2003, I won, on the personal level, I won a gold medal in 2002. So if that's when you say, well, what was your prime?
So that was you think that was your best year?
It's kind of these years, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What was better? What was a better euphoric high? Okay, winning the Stanley Cup or winning that gold medal? And what's the difference? What's the...
Well, winning a Stanley Cup is the ultimate, because you win your first one. 95, win my first one. That's your dream. This is I want to play in the NHL first. This is your first dream. After that, it's every time you played street hockey or pond hockey, it's all about winning the Stanley Cup, and now you get a chance to win your first Stanley Cup. So you cannot understand how big that is. And you go in and you win your second one. You say, well, now I got 5 rookies. I'm a veteran. I want to give that gift to these guys, help them lead for them to be able to enjoy what I did 5 years ago. And in the same perspective, in 03, we have older guys like Turner Stevenson, Jim McKenzie, that never won, that's played their whole career. It's if I'm able to lead them enough to them to taste winning a Stanley Cup. So at the end of the day, winning Stanley Cup means everything in the world. After that, there's gravy, because everybody has different opportunities to do different things in their own career. I was fortunate enough to be good enough in Canada to represent my country in 4 different Olympics. And when they're 4 years apart, it means that you got to be pretty good.
Bad.
You got to be pretty good for a long time. Yeah. But the adjustments, personally, you need to make, not just for a goalie, but for the whole team. Even though you're loaded with superstars in Canada, in 02, I think we were 11 or 12 captains. I mean, you need one captain. There's only 2 power plays. There's only the top 4 defensemen.
They need their cookies.
Well, exactly. And that's where the ego's got to be checked.
There's only one goalie, too.
Yeah, exactly. And like I know, because I went there in 98 and I didn't play. I sat on the bench, and I was going to sit on the bench in 2002, and Cujo had a rough game the first game
against Sweden, right?
Against Sweden. I was able to jump in there, and from there I was the starting goalie for the 02, 06, and 10 a little bit, until I lost one game, and I knew there's a turnover. I can't lose. That's how good everybody is. The margin of error is so small.
When I think of Martin Brodeur, honestly, you've had so many great saves and everything you've accomplished, but the one save that stands out, and always will, is the toe save you made on Brett Hall on the one-timer in the gold medal game, Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
One of the greatest saves I've ever seen. When you combine who was taking the shot, who made the save, what the score was, what was at stake, I don't think you can get any better than that. You and Holly ever talk about that or no?
Yeah, he told me he missed a shot.
Because it was low. Was it on the ice?
It was on the ice. It was around the ice, and
it was coming hard though, right?
It was coming really hard. It's one of those things that you kind of learn who you play against, and obviously playing in the Olympics and playing in Salt Lake City was a bigger ice surface, so the angles are a bit different for a goalie. So I was playing a little deep on the power play, and I saw, I'm pretty sure, what's his name? We had him in New Jersey, Phil Housley. Sorry, Phil. Yeah. He was coming down the boards on my left side. And I could tell that he kind of peaked a little bit while he was skating towards the corner. And then I kind of looked, and Hully, like he does the best, he just hides himself somewhere he's in the dead spot that you can't see. But I found him. I knew exactly where he was. So my first instinct was like, all right, I know he's in that area. So if Housley passes it across, I just got to make sure I get there somehow. And he found him through a maze of people right across, and I just kind of reached out. My toe was right on the goal line, and from that save on, we just made it. It was 3-2 for us at the time, early in the third, and we went in and scored 4-2. And that was
so weird that you say that, because the other day at the alumni skate, when Jeremy came out, he made a toe save on me in the slot like that, and they went on to win the game. Funny how that works.
Wasn't nearly as hard.
It wasn't nearly as hard. I actually whiffed on. My stick was broken, Jeremy. I know you're listening
That's
now.
Your excuse.
How big of a deal was Scotty Stevens, especially in that 2000 run where he's crushing guys, Marty? I mean, when you see Scotty...
Was he dirty?
I was asking a question, and then you interrupted me and asked a question. Go ahead. Was he dirty?
I don't think so. Not
nowadays he is.
Yeah, exactly. Like in this era, it would be different if he makes those hits. But back then, this is the way we played hockey.
Right.
But when you see that, is everybody on the bench like, oh? I mean, you could see their whole bench just somewhat dismantle when he lays into somebody like that. He was a huge part of that run, wasn't he?
Well, for sure in 2000,
2000 especially.
Yeah, especially he was the MVP. I mean, he made that big of a difference. But I think his reputation. I mean, he was always a bruiser, a guy that played the game really hard, really skilled. Really tough, fighting and like when he was in Washington, and so I mean it was crazy.
St. Louis, yeah.
And so even in St. Louis, but when he came to New Jersey, the first year, and I think it was 93, 94, he had 73 points. He was
on power play.
I mean, he was power play offensively and everything.
Yeah,
but he made that
was
one
power
hit.
Play here too.
He made that one hit
earlier
against Detroit on Slava Kozlov. And from there, I think his attitude is like the way he was perceived by the league, and the way his attitude, it just kind of gave us so much confidence. And now, knowing that that's going to be our leader, that's going to be our captain, like everybody felt like, and we felt so comfortable having him as a leader. He's a guy that led by example. He was a really good captain because he took care of himself. He was serious. He wanted to win every game. I mean, it's not the guy that took us out every night and have fun with us.
No, he didn't talk much in
But
really?
You know what? He was
all hockey.
He was all
hockey, man. All serious.
Like straight and narrow guy, great family, and for us it was just fun. He was a leader. Like we had an issue. We didn't have a problem going to see Jacques Lemaire or whoever was our coach at the time, or even Lou. He was just a guy that demanded like a huge. Yeah, he had a huge presence, and so, in 2000. some of the hits. I mean, it's just bone crushing.
You think of Lindros and you think of Korea. Those are the two.
I know, man.
Yeah, that was in Korea's in 03.
Yeah.
Korea's in 03.
But Lindros was a tough one. We were in a building. We were down 3-1 in that series, and in the conference final, and we were dead in the water going into Philly for Game 7.
They had a great team too.
And we just came back from 3-1 to 3-3 and get the Game 7 and first few shifts, and it's like I didn't even see it. I heard it. Like you play a game and you just the puck goes like this, and Big E's got the puck goes across, and next thing you know, as a goalie, I follow the puck.
Yeah.
So there was maybe a 1 or 2 seconds difference before he hit him, and just that hit, and I'm like turned around, and it's like
Pandel falls, Rafalski falls, like it's
dead
like a yard
quiet in the Spectrum or whatever the rink was called.
Yeah.
They keep on changing that name of that rink.
Covia.
Yeah, so for us was like wow, and just he put the crowd out of the game right away in a Game 7 in Philadelphia, and Patrick Elias scored that big goal later on for us to win the game. I think it was 2-1.
Yeah, that sometimes a big hit like that can go the opposite way too, like where you're like, oh my god.
Did he get a penalty for that hit or no?
I don't think so. Dude.
No,
dude. That was shoulder to the chest.
Yeah.
Now he would have probably got a couple games now because you get the injury.
Exactly.
But what do you think of the state of the game now? I mean, do you like the way everything's trending? I mean, there's a lot of negativity going on, Marty, right now, and I know what's going on with even what happened today with Jim Montgomery and things like that. But how do you think the way the game is going, and is it trending in the right direction in your opinion?
On ice, it definitely does. I think the skill, the speed, the quality of the games.
Everybody's good.
Are unbelievable. There's no lead that's safe anymore. If I'm a fan, I'm watching those games. There's always a possibility that something's gonna happen, and there's how many games that were 4-0 and teams came back. That never like in New Jersey, like. 1 goal lead, it was over.
Shut you down in the neutral zone.
Yeah, it's over. And
Marty's got it.
Now it's fun to watch. It's just a fun. Like I say, I watch a lot of games when I'm in New Jersey. When I was with the Blues, I was really close to it. I was able to get on the ice with the goalies and see the players and how talented they are now. But the drawback of that, like the big injuries all the time. We didn't see these injuries. Now these guys they work out like 12 months a year. They play at a pace that is unbelievable. There's a lot of accident that happens.
Falling into the boards,
all that stuff. And I just love what the NHL did as far as the headshots, how hard they are on the players. The game is a lot cleaner than it is, and it's that's the part that's good. But again, I remember like guys, if a guy was hurt for 3 weeks was a big injury back then.
Yeah.
Now guys are going like for months at a time. Injury wise, and I don't know what it is. It's hard to pinpoint. Is it because they're overworked? Is it because
they know the
game is too fast,
like,
or maybe the doctors are like, listen, you shouldn't play with that. You got to fix it.
Well,
like I told you, I got to fix my shoulder. I got hurt 5 years left in my career. I just got the surgery. Like 9 years later, so don't touch me.
I keep touching you. I'm sorry.
You've told him like 10 times, and he keeps hitting you in your shoulder.
I'm sorry. I get excited by him.
What was it like watching the Blues win the Cup?
Like I said, it was great. Obviously. Is
it hard though? Like you're with the team, then you're not with the team. Like you've been there, you know the feeling.
It was my call not being with the team. Yeah. And so. What I enjoyed the most was obviously all my friends, all my wife's friends to,
experience it.
They just, all their life that's what they wanted, and they finally got it. I had a party for that game at my house. I had 20, 30 people, and people were going nuts. And that's it's all about. Like this trophy is such a hard trophy to win that. You'd love for everybody to at least experience once. If you don't like somebody, maybe once and that's it. If you like it, maybe win a few more. Mm-hmm. But like for me in St. Louis, I still live here. I have a good relationship with the whole organization still, and so for them to finally achieve their goal was amazing.
How can you not be like heartfelt?
But see, goaltending is such a I could never. I never play goalie anyway, and I just could never even imagine understanding the position.
You should have played goalie
at the level that you can understand it, but only in with goaltending can you have a guy come out of nowhere who all of a sudden just gets hot and plays unbelievable hockey. And even in the first half of this year, he looks like he's the real deal. explain how that can happen with Jordan Binnington. I don't get it.
Well, put it this way: if his opportunity would have came when he was 22 years old, this success would have probably never happened. I think he was ready for it.
Yeah,
he was he was hungry for it.
Was he ready before?
We'll never know. We'll never know. But from organization point of view, other guys got in the organization. The Phoenix Copley,
yeah.
He got in front of him. Right. So everybody got in front of him. Before he got a real chance. And he had a chip on his shoulder. We put him in different organization in Boston, Providence, and
that was a weird situation.
It was a weird situation. And you got to give credit to one of the guys that we had, the goalie development coach.
Yeah,
I mean, he's the one that would go with the Bruins on the ice and work with Binner. And Mike Dunham, Mike.
Yeah.
He's the development coach, so they had to make some phone calls with these two guys, like to make sure he gets on the ice with Binner and everything, because he was still our prospect. But
so you sent your guy there to Providence.
Yeah,
the guy who worked for St. Louis.
Yeah, he's still the guy that's in San Antonio, the development, David Rogoski.
Would you say to Jake Allen when he was going through that slump a couple years ago, and they had you go down there and be the goalie coach? I'm sure he's wanting to do this. What'd you say to him? Like, how would you adjust? Because it worked.
Yeah.
And everybody's talking about it.
Yeah, well...
He changed his pads, first off, right?
Yeah, no, I didn't change anything. I didn't change anything. You know what? He's got all the tools.
Yeah.
I think at that time when Jake wasn't playing well, for me, it was all little things. I just we broke him down to the most simple things as a goalie that you learn when you're a kid. And to this day, goalies still don't play like that, and I still believe that's the problem of some of the goalies. Regardless if it's like, just being engaged, being in the flow of the game, having your stick down at all times, being square to the puck. And I kept on telling him, showing an example of how, even though he played well sometimes, I'm like, this is not good enough. Like, this is going to come and bite you. You got to make sure you do the right things.
Well, stick up a little bit too much, or he's out of position or something.
So you weren't worried about getting, hurting feelings if you had to, or getting in the face if you needed to. Yeah.
Oh, he's not. He doesn't care about that. Trust me.
No, we had a great relationship, and I had a blast. Like, Carter Hutton was there too.
Yeah.
He had a great, he had a great sequence too. So it's one of those things. I just kind of believe in what I believe in hockey. Mm-hmm. Technically, like, I'm out of date. Like, seriously, I can't do butterfly.
You were an acrobat, dude. You were completely different.
I just made it happen. You just gotta stop the puck.
Like Scorpion. Get out of here.
St. Louis has had just the weirdest goaltending situations ever. I mean,
until now,
from like Chris Mason, who had a crazy run. Manny Legacy makes an all-star team. Brian Elliott signs a two-way deal and ends up becoming an all-star here. You mentioned Jay Carter. Like, who was Carter Hutton? He had hardly even played. And he comes here and he's like the number one guy. Jake Allen, like Mr. Everything. I mean, his resume was incredible before he comes to the NHL. Everything. Makes the all-rookie team. I mean, his career has just been up and down, but when it's been up, it's been really, really good.
He's playing well now. I've seen a few of the games. Tonight, he's just a great athlete, and I think if you get him to play the right way, I think the sky's the limit. Like, he just doesn't know how good and how fast he is, and sometimes it's his detriment. You just got to understand how to play the game, and for whatever reason, what we worked on and what we've talked about, kind of clicked for him, I guess. I don't know. Like I said, I've never coached in my life. So listen, when you saw me going there with my...
oh my God. First day.
Marty, I had no clue. Marty, I laughed at you. I was laughing.
Really?
Actually, I was stealing like drills from other teams.
Oh my God.
You went on YouTube. I told you I was on YouTube.
Scott Mellamy told me the same thing. When he was an assistant coach with the Blues, he had never coached before. And he's like, listen, I played over 1,000 games in the NHL. And all of a sudden, they want me to get on the board and explain a drill. He goes, I was so nervous, I didn't know what the hell to say.
Exactly.
Like, I couldn't explain a drill.
Yeah, Yosi, Mike, you asked me to kind of do a presentation on the goalies for like Minnesota, like where to beat them and what's their tendencies. And I was so nervous talking to the team. I was like, seriously?
See where the net is.
Yeah. But can I just ask one thing, though? No. I want to get back to Binnington, though. Are you surprised? Like, how good is he? Is he the real deal? Like, when do you know?
It's hard not to say he's not. Like I said, I think he came to the limelight or to the show ready to go.
Yeah.
So he's 25 years old. He's probably 26 now.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, this
Didn't that used to be kind of the norm? Guys would
everybody came in around 23 to 26 years old. That's what you started, and it changed a little bit. Now goalies are able to play at but not 18 but 20. You look at Carter Hart came in maybe he was at 19 or 20. So they come that age. So at 25 it's time for you to get a chance, and he was ready for it. And that's sometimes you don't have that luxury. Sometimes you're put into a situation that you cannot handle.
Yeah.
And you know what? You could be the best goalie in the world, but because you were in that bad situation on a bad team,
you get jammed up,
and you're done. And now Benner came in a tough situation because they weren't winning. But let's not kid ourselves. I mean, you're playing at $75 million cap. You're supposed to be good. You were just underachieving at the time. And he was probably the missing part to kind of.
Well, you get shuffled away as a goalie though if you're stuck in an organization that has some solid goaltending, and even you could be great, you're not getting called up because the other goalies are great.
But too, all the draft, it depends if you draft junior players, junior goalie, or you draft an European goalie or a college goalie. That depends. It really changes the way the growth of your goaltending within your organization, because there's guys that you could say, college guy, you leave him there for a while.
Right.
European guy, you leave him there for a while. But when you start playing junior teams, or that European goalie decides he wants to come in, like Vileuso decided to come in, but for 2 years we didn't hear from him. But it just kind of changes the depth of your goaltending, and some teams don't draft goalies, and next thing you know, they just buy via trades. They bring him in, so it's a luck thing. You got to be fortunate. Like I always say, to me, it's like two things in my career that happen. It's the Scott Stevens thing. If the Devils don't
sensitive around here, Marty.
Not anymore.
We're past it.
You go in and what the Blues wanted to offer was, I think, Cujo and somebody else to New Jersey, or it was for Shanahan, for Brendan Shanahan.
It was Cujo and oh my God, it was somebody that didn't really matter.
But anyway, it was Rob Brindamore and Cujo.
Okay.
Well, he matters. Yeah. So there was these two guys for Brendan Shanahan. So if that goes to New Jersey, I get Cujo right in front of me. What happens to my career? I don't know.
Who knows?
Who knows?
My God, that's a horrible thing to think about. Marty, I'd be hanging out with Cujo the whole time.
And you don't have Scott Stevens.
And I don't have Scott Stevens. And you turn around, it's like I get up my second year professional. They moved the goalie. I think they sent Greg Billington to Ottawa for Peter Sedorkowitz. He comes in with a shoulder surgery. He can't start the season. So I'm the one started the season when I was supposed to go in the minors. Next thing you know, never look back from there. So there's.
Did you play in the minors?
Yeah, I played for one full year.
A full year.
Yeah.
You think that's important for a goalie?
Yeah, I think so. You learn to survive.
You're playing 3-3, like you're playing in weird situations, back to back and stuff like that.
But just to tell you, timing is everything in hockey. Like you could be the best goalie, but you know what? If you don't have the right situation in front of you, and I think Benner was blessed with that. He took a while. Sometimes maybe looking back, so maybe I didn't get that when I was 21 when the team wasn't so good, or.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm happy for him because like I said, he's been through some tough things before the last few years.
But I like what you said though, because he has a chip on his shoulder, and sometimes that can carry you, that can motivate you.
I mean, I don't know how big his chip his shoulder, but I know every time I did, I told him to, hey, we're gonna send you down. What do you mean we send you down? Like he always had something. He's a great character. You guys deal with him more, but he's a good kid. And when he won his first game, I called him and I was excited about him. Yeah.
Who was the first player or first person that you reached out to when the Blues won the Cup? Like who's the one person that like you wanted to congratulate first?
Oh, Doug. I'd like for me. Sure. He's the guy that Doug and David Alexander, goalie coach too. He's and Chief. Chief. We were pretty close too. So Kevin McDonald. This is a guy.
He's a great
taught
guy
me
too,
everything. Man. Scouting and all that stuff with him, and he's been, like I said, Dave Taylor, like all these guys.
No, good people inside the organization.
Yeah. Marty, we had your buddy on last time, not Carcillo, but Sean Avery came on, and we talked.
Did he come in live?
No.
He might as well cost us $4,000.
He might as well be.
No, he was. I didn't even think he knew who I was, to be honest with you, but he was actually really, really cool. But we did talk about.
He didn't know who he was. No, I'm joking.
He didn't. Damn you.
No,
but we talked about that one night where they made the rule, and I was on the bench that night too, and chirping at Lundqvist, and he's in your face. Like, what'd you take about that whole situation? You know how he was, and he was chirping me in the paper, he's chirping everybody in the paper. So it's like, But that was an interesting whole ordeal where the NHL had to get involved and change the rule.
Yeah, well, obviously it's a big rivalry. We're in the playoffs and a lot of things. I think I don't remember what everything started with him. It was probably during the regular season at one point. We got hooked up in front of the net there. He kind of pushed me, and everybody jumped him. Probably. I don't know. Anyway, so it's one of those things that, he's a competitor and he's an agitator and all that.
He's waving his arms in front of you.
That part, I thought I just didn't know what to think. I sat there. I was like, and you have Drury that's right beside me.
Yelling at him.
And he's like, dude, like, get out of there. Like, what are you doing? Like, he's
his own teammate.
His own teammate, and from going to Team Canada a year later, and from Tortorella to his trainers, and they all apologize.
Really?
They the people of the Rangers are like, listen, he has like we never told him to do that. Like it's just one of those things, and again, like people do whatever they want, to win. Yeah. And he felt this was the right way.
Too.
I think, on top of it, he scored.
What are you saying to him though when he's doing it? Are you just like,
it's a 5-on-3. It's a 5-on-3. Like, I don't have time to get a conversation. I'm trying to push him. I'm trying to hit him as hard as I can. I was whacking it
hard, huh?
Like,
real hard.
There's no way I should have got about 5 penalties on him.
Yeah.
Like the way I was hitting him.
The refs were confused.
They didn't know what to do.
It was just a weird situation, and I think the league's addressed it. Like, you just can't sit in front of somebody and it's a hockey game still. It's a hockey game. Like, we're gonna put 2 guys in front and do the same thing. Like, it's one of those things that I'm glad they stepped in and kind of changed it a little bit. Nobody's ever done it afterwards, and
he's a character.
It's all good. Yeah, it's all good.
He said he likes you now, by the way. So that's all it matters.
I haven't heard Marty say he likes him, though, so I'm waiting for that.
Maybe we'll get both of them on the podcast.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Should have brought them together. That'd be a good feature. We could do that.
But yeah, Marty, man, I appreciate you coming on. I know we appreciate you coming in a normal brand, and I'm glad that you're still in St. Louis. And I'm glad I got to hang out with Jeremy the other day, and I only scored 1 on him. We actually made a bet. So Jeremy wears Marty's mask to the practice, and he puts it on. I'm like, you want to bet on this thing that I'm going to score on you? So he betted me your mask. So I have your mask in my basement right now, your Blues mask, and I want you to sign it. And
So, hold on. We got to tell, just for people know, you live here in St. Louis.
Yeah, I live here. I never moved from here. And
tell people why you still live here. Because people might think it's like, they just like go to the store, they see Martin Brodeur, like, what the hell is Martin Brodeur doing in St. Louis?
Yeah, I hear a lot of that. Like, how come you're here?
Mm-hmm.
I just decided to make home St. Louis for now. When we decided to, obviously professionally, to do something else, my little one started school here, goes to MICDS, minor hockey. His friends, my wife's friends, like I said, like she came in and Max started hockey, started school. So now it's been over 5 years, 6 years we're in the area, and for me, it's not a big deal to move around. Like I said, I get pretty good flexibility for now with the Devils, and now we just love it. We just love it. Play Boone Valley.
Play a lot of golf, great golf
in St. Louis.
Long drive home.
Yeah. So you stop drinking early.
So how often do you go to New Jersey? Did you say 3 days a week? You don't go there that much, do you?
Yeah, I go. I'm probably there 12 days a month, only during the week. This week I'm not going. The team's on the road, so I figure I was going to be able to do a lot over the phone. But I'll be there from Wednesday to Friday next week, 3 days in a row. We have 2 games.
And what do you do when you're there? Like, what do they have you doing?
Well, there's different things. I have different projects. Like this year is the 20th anniversary of our 2000 Cup. Okay. So we're doing a huge weekend, and so I'm kind of working in the logistics of everything with the people that are in that department, with the alumni and different areas. Try to reestablish our brand in the youth community in New Jersey.
Are you marketing more?
I have people that does that, and so I kind of bring my ideas and kind of help them out and support them. And sometimes for me to talk to somebody or go somewhere goes a a bit further than if it would be somebody different.
I would think
and
so.
And also too, a little bit of being an ambassador, meeting a lot of the old fan base that are still around.
You're on social media a lot now too. You're on Twitter. You got the new Cameo thing coming out. I saw that on Facebook. I'm following you on Facebook now anyway. But you're doing a lot of stuff, and it's great.
Can I get a Cam story though? Like the first time you ever saw Cam and he showed up, what was the reaction of were they like, who's
this Jack
who is
kid?
This guy? Like seriously, like this guy is playing with us?
Yeah,
you thought I was going to get sent down in 3 days.
Yeah, I didn't put it this way. He's done a lot with his career. Put it from the first day I saw him. I'm like, there's no way. But I think one good little story that we have with Cam is like, I think his second time, or how many times you come? Twice, 3 times he came back to Jersey.
I came back once.
Okay, so you were there twice.
Yeah.
So the second time, I had to call the coach, almost call Lou to say, enough of dribbling the ball. Like, he's got those little hard balls.
I told you about this.
Well, when you stick handles?
Yes.
I've seen him do that.
He yelled at me.
And I'm like, listen,
he's like chopping vegetables.
I just got up in the morning. All right. I'm just played back-to-back games. We have a practice, and I see Cam Jansen, like, seriously, stick handle. I'm like, you don't even stick handle on the ice. Like, what are you doing with that ball? And it was noisy, and so now you have to do it somewhere else, so it didn't bother anybody.
I had to go to the other side of the rink in a small little cave and do it by. They all but I got the puck out of the zone better.
When he shows up to play pickup hockey, he carries his stick in a stick bag, like the one you have when you were 8 years old.
I look classy.
He puts his stick
Is it
in
the
a
Louis
stick
Vuitton?
bag. No. But he takes it so serious, man.
It's one of those things. Like, Cam always talked so highly of St. Louis, and I was like, it can't be that great. And now I've been living here for 6 years.
Yeah, funny how that works.
So you were right.
I love it, man.
I've always said he's the biggest success story of any kid that's come out of St. Louis, because, I mean, it's honestly, you watch all these other kids that come out of here and the way they play, and you watch Cam, but it was a different game back then, man.
I guess.
And he was able to find a way, man, and he played a long time. So,
well, you helped me out, of course, Lou, and we had great times together, man. And we do, and I appreciate you coming out here. And would you hire Cam as your skills coach? Like, what about a help with promoting the game and stuff like that? I can talk to people.
He could be good at that.
I could walk into a room and entertain.
He's got to come back. We got to get him in Jersey. He's part of the alumni. People love them in Jersey.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. I'm sure.
We let me know. And I went last year with the Blues played, and I'll go this year, and we'll hang out and we'll meet up.
We'll get you on the ice. We'll learn to play with the kids. Or learn to skate.
Oh my God!
Well, let's not get too far.
When he was in the league for like 7-8 years, and all of a sudden he showed up and he's on the ice for prospect camp at the Blues.
Why you always tell this story?
And I'm like, what are you doing here? He's like, I have nothing else to do.
They asked me
I have nothing else to do. I figure I might as well come out here and prove my skill. It was awesome.
Appreciate you coming on, big boy.
All right, no problem. It was my pleasure. It was all mine.
Thanks, Marty.
Thanks.
All right, so we go from Daniel Carcillo, Sean Avery. We've had some other ones. Matthew Barnaby. Yeah. I mean, why were you so... you're like a little church boy in this interview.
Was I really? I didn't even cuss today.
You didn't cuss once.
I know, man.
I mean, we don't have to spend 2 weeks editing. We don't have to take anything out.
I was a little much.
We don't have to deal with you being upset about, hey, I don't need this in there.
Can't I be professional once in a while? Can't I be professional once in a while?
That was the professional Cam today.
I could be professional. I'm from Eureka, Missouri, but I could still be professional.
It was still like AHL
I said it was East Coast, maybe in the Spanish league or something. I don't know. But
I think you're serious about wanting to play in that senior men's league. Actually,
are you crazy? No way in hell, man.
Why? Too tough?
Want to go fight down at Brashear again?
So that really still exists?
Yeah, dude.
Why do they let that? But like in the NHL, they're trying to get rid of fighting and they want to protect heads and all that stuff.
Don't know, but they're making money up there, and even Pierre-Luc Letourneau LeBlanc is up there. I just saw on Facebook that he's still doing his thing, and I'm like, holy macaroni! I'm just not into it. I like to be on the radio and chirp guys like you for a living.
Macaroni.
Thank you.
What do you take out of this interview?
Well, look, anytime you're talking to the best of the best, and he goes into depth about goaltending and Lou Lamoriello and how they won the cup and what the feelings were, and just a million different things that he dug dug into, and it was a long interview, and he sat here and he was chilling, and just a great guy, man. And I kept smacking him in his shoulder for some stupid ass reason. And
he just had major surgery.
I know, and he's like looking at me like, don't do that again. And I'm like, I can't help myself. I keep smacking him in the shoulder like an idiot.
Yeah.
Surprised he didn't get up and leave, but he didn't, and he finished the interview, and it was great.
Yeah, it was fun. So hope you enjoyed listening to that. Again, all of the interviews we've done over the course of the last few months are available on iTunes, Spotify, and of course on YouTube as well. And let me just say this to the people out there who have supported us here in the early going. We appreciate that.
Absolutely.
We've got lots of great stuff coming, lots of momentum, obviously, with the Cam and Strick podcast. So we're still just getting started.
Yeah, baby.
We're just getting started here. If you're interested in joining our team, whether it's sponsorships or any other ideas that you may have, if you're doing something and you say, well, I think this could really fit with the Cam and Strick podcast, I could even help them take it to the next level.
Oh.
They could take me to the next level.
That's what we want to do.
Just reach out to one of us.
Absolutely.
And we'd always be happy to talk with you. We're an open book here on the Cam and Strick podcast as we close out the 2019 year. Still a couple of podcasts to get to before we say so long to 2019. But as always, this show is brought to you by
Cope 24, baby.
Cope 24. You know what that stands for, Cam?
Copenhagen, I told you that.
It doesn't stand for that, but it's changing our parenting experience. Now, you met Renee Howitt last week. What do you think of her?
Lovely woman.
Yeah, she was wonderful.
She was great.
And Jane as well, who of course came and hung out with us at the Shack. But we are at the Normal brand, and we appreciate Cope 24 for believing in what we do.
Yeah.
Here on the Cam and Strick podcast. So it stands for Changing Our Parenting Experience, like I said. They are a St. Louis-based child advocacy nonprofit founded by author, speaker Renee Howitt.
Yes.
I mean, she is unbelievable.
Real deal.
They had their gala this past weekend, raised a ton of money.
Yeah.
A Jordan Binnington jersey that we got signed raised like $1,000.
Good. It should.
So obviously raised some money and going back to a great cause. Cope 24 promotes the need to make parenting and child development education a priority in high schools and reaching all students. So check out their website, cope24.com, and support a great cause. And we love what they are doing to impact our community here in St. Louis. Again, the website, cope24.com. We thank everybody here at the Normal brand as well. Last minute Christmas shoppers, this is your spot.
Oh my God.
Whether you got a son, daughter, husband, wife, whatever it is in your family, you'll find something for them here at the Normal brand, right in the heart of Ladue. Easy to find, you can't miss it, and they treat you like family when you come inside.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Even you, Andy.
Oh, I appreciate that. All right, we've got lots more stuff to come. We appreciate your support as always. Hope you enjoyed this podcast with the one and only, the Hall of Famer, Martin Brodeur. We certainly did.